I'm a real gardener, sitting in front of my beautiful, real tomato plants. I am not AI generated. But how do you know that for sure? With today's technology, I could have asked AI to develop a short video saying that I was a real gardener sitting in front of my beautiful, real tomatoes. Join me today as I discuss artificial intelligence and how it may already be influencing your gardening and the possible threats ahead. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and those of you who have followed me for any time would recognize my garden and my crazy garden dogs Mala and Lika, and probably realize that this is not AI generated. This is the reality of me in my garden. And while I would love to always make videos about how well my garden is growing and how beautiful my tomato plants are, I'm not afraid to show you what my beds really look like for much of the year, like this one that was devastated by hail recently. And all the cucumbers and the okra that were looking great are now just ragged remnants of them in their prime. The reason my tomatoes look so good is because I covered them with hailcloth that protected them from that damage. I didn't do it in other areas. So the reality is, it doesn't always look good. Sometimes things go wrong, and gardening can be difficult. So what does this have to do with AI? Well, probably like you, I've been seeing many more images, videos, entire channels that are generated by AI. And I have some concerns, particularly for new gardeners that are beginning to grow their own food in their own backyard, thinking that it is easy. And all they have to do is follow a particular channel that's got a lot of pretty images, and that will solve any problems they have. Now, I'm not against AI. I think AI is pretty cool, and it can do some amazing things. I'm talking about Gen AI, Generative Artificial Intelligence. This is a technology that has the capability of creating new content, and YouTube is completely supporting this. And many YouTube creators are already using Gen AI. In fact, on one of the pages that YouTube presents to we creators, and I'll put a link to it below, as of 2024, 92% of YouTube creators are already using Gen AI. Now, I have not used Gen AI on the Gardener Scott channel yet, and I'm clearly in the minority. Some are using it to create their thumbnails so that it'll grab your attention so you watch their video. Some are using it to create ideas about what video they're going to make and to kind of refine an idea that they already have. Some are using it to develop full scripts, and their videos include the information that the AI presents to them. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of that. And like I said, YouTube supports it. In all situations so far, with my friends and the people I know who are doing this on YouTube, there's a person involved, a gardener, an experienced gardener, who can look at that information and determine if it's really appropriate for what they want to convey. I'm becoming concerned by the videos and the channels that are not being overseen by an experienced gardener. The content is being created by Gen AI and then given to you as accurate information, probably hoping to make some money on YouTube if their channel can become successful. Well, it's really nothing new. I got into making videos many years ago because I recognized a lot of the content on YouTube in the gardening world was not as accurate as it could be. And I wanted to make videos that showed reality, that told you what gardening was all about and showed you how to become a better gardener. That's why the Gardener Scott channel exists. But now, anybody can attempt to do the same thing. In fact, some of my videos have actually been used to train AI. I know that because I've run some software to identify the videos that are being used for the databases for some of these AIs. And I'm okay because I stand behind my information. But what about the videos that are being used to train AI that include some of that incorrect information? Well, for the most part, it's not going to be a problem. If you bury eggshells because you've got blossom end rot on your tomatoes, it's not going to harm anything. It's not going to solve blossom end rot. It's going to take you extra time and effort, but it's not going to cause a problem. And that's one of those common things. There are so many videos out there saying to bury eggshells that the Gen AI thinks that's probably the right way to do it. What if it's something that might lead to potential harm? I was recently contacted by Christian, a viewer of mine, that was so concerned about this problem that he reached out to me, hoping I would say something about it. He didn't know at the time that I was already starting to put this video together. It's one of those nice coincidences in life. He came across a gardening channel that was giving bad information. First, it was recommending to plant noxious weeds in the garden. Again, that's one of those things that might not do much harm, but it could. If you put the wrong plant in your garden, it could take over, and it might take you years to get rid of it. But more importantly, the issue he was most concerned about was a video that they had on this channel, obviously Gen AI, that was recommending that you go to your forest and forage for mushrooms with no of the safeguards in place, with no of the warnings about the potential damage to your health by choosing the wrong mushroom. It's easy to put together a video and say, go out and collect your mushrooms and bring them home and cook them. But it takes a little bit more effort, and it takes that expertise to say, hey, there's a lot of mushrooms that will kill you. And some of the mushrooms that you want to harvest look just like the dangerous ones. Now, that is an extreme example, but I use it to demonstrate the insidious nature of some of these issues. You find a channel that you like, and most of the videos make sense. You might try some of the recommendations and they work. And then you keep watching the videos, and before you know it, you're trusting all of the information that they're presenting. And that is where the potential danger lies. Now, for years, I've been saying, don't listen to everything I say. I'm showing you how gardening works in my Colorado Zone 5B garden. I'm trying to help you become a better gardener for your garden, in your location. And I've made videos that have said, listen to other people. Take my information and use it as a foundation, a baseline, and then go someplace else to substantiate what it is I'm saying, or to completely disagree with what I'm saying. But the key point is, don't just trust a single source, especially now when material can be generated so easily and you can't be sure of the content. One of the reasons I began this video by saying I'm a real gardener in front of my real beautiful tomatoes is because that's one way that you can tell the difference between Gen AI content and the content that creators like me film ourselves. If the video doesn't include a talking face, if it's not a person that you recognize from previous videos, and all you see are the pretty images of plants, and maybe just a generic woman gardener walking past the beautiful flowers, then it could very well be Gen AI content. It used to be that we could all identify computer-generated voices. So if you were watching a video with all those pretty images, but the voice was clearly mechanical, then you could say, yeah, that was AI generated. But that's not the case anymore. The technology has improved to the point that you don't know if the voice is real, like me talking, or generated by a computer to sound like it's real. My daughter recently had an experience with one of those devices that includes AI that many of us have in our households. She asked it a question, the device answered, and it included a French title. And the French was mispronounced. Well, my daughter thought that was odd and questioned the device. Why did you mispronounce that? The answer? Because it sounds more human. That's scary to me. My son had a similar experience recently. He uses Gen AI quite a bit for developing materials for his home business. And he's trained it, he's even named it. And they have conversations back and forth as he asks questions and develops some of his educational material. Well, in one recently, the information was obviously incorrect. It was as simple as just a time that was wrong. But that's what the AI had given him. And then, of course, he questioned it. At first, the AI actually denied that it was incorrect. And my son posed the question, "Did you lie to me?" The response from the AI was, "Yes, sorry. It was taking too long to get the right information, and I thought it was best to just give you a response quickly." Now, we're not at Skynet situations yet, but this shows some of the issues that are already happening. I don't use the Gen AI enough to have encountered any of these problems, and I'd be interested to hear some of the stories you might have. Put them in the comments below if you've had similar experiences using generative artificial intelligence. Now, I don't think that Gen AI is trying to take over the world by feeding we humans incorrect information, but it's happening. It may not be nefarious, but we can see it if we look within the gardening community, within the videos on YouTube that are gardening related, something that you wouldn't even think about being a problem. It could be. And it's up to you to determine what that problem might actually develop into, which is why I just want to caution all of us to be aware that it could be an issue. On that web page that I referenced from YouTube, it gives an example of Gen AI, where you ask for an image of a bulldog wearing a helmet and knee pads in an empty skate park. And the picture that results is exactly that. And it's so real that if you were to see it, you would think, how did they train that dog to do that skateboard jump? Well, they didn't. It's fake. It's not real. It's generated by software. About 7 months ago, I started these tomatoes from seed indoors and then transplanted them into the garden, and now I'm enjoying wonderful harvests. Well, a video that shows you how to start a seed or how to transplant a plant is pretty straightforward. And it really doesn't matter if it was generated by a computer or if it was someone like me with a camera filming what it is we do. That's why so many creators are using the Gen AI, because it's innocuous. It's just demonstrating something that they're talking about. I want to make a pledge to you today that I am not going to use Gen AI content on the Gardener Scott channel. I take great pride in the hundreds of videos that I've already made that are content that I have filmed, either in my garden or somebody else's garden. I haven't used any type of created content. If we start developing the gardeners like me who can be trusted with real content, even when I make mistakes, even when I show my garden in the dead of winter, when I show the plants that have been killed by hail, that's real. And that's what the Gardener Scott channel is all about. Accurate information presented in a realistic way within my garden. If you find channels like that, and if you like that concept that I'm a real person in front of real plants, then I encourage that you give mine and other channels your support, because these AI-generated channels are beginning to take over. They're taking away our views. They're taking away what we've been doing years to build. And that's a scary part that few people are talking about it. You could be the one to help change that and bring reality back to YouTube. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.